Some decisions enter our lives quietly, without drama or warning. Appearing logical and reasonable at first glance, they are supported by numbers, expectations, and the advice of people who believe they want the best for us. These decisions rarely feel dangerous when they are made, because they promise safety instead of risk. But time has a cruel way of revealing the emotional costs hidden behind reasonable choices, and when that cost becomes clear, it is often impossible to go back unchanged. This is the story of John, a man who believed he was choosing stability over uncertainty. He thought he was protecting his future, his family, and his dignity as an adult. What he did not realize was that he was slowly negotiating his own identity. Like many people, he believed happiness could be postponed without consequences. He believed meaning could wait until life felt more secure. At some point in life, everyone faces a similar crossroads, a moment when logic and desire pull in opposite directions, a moment when fear disguises itself as responsibility. This story is not only about John's choice, but about the choices we make every day, especially the ones we justify instead of question. John had always understood numbers in a way that felt natural and effortless. While others struggled to make sense of calculations, he found clarity and order. Numbers gave him a sense of control in a world that often felt unpredictable. Accounting was not simply a profession he admired, but a space where his mind felt at home. It was where his skills, interests, and sense of purpose aligned naturally. Despite his talent, months passed without opportunity. The centrisumes attended interviews and followed every piece of advice he received. Each rejection felt less like professional feedback and more like personal dismissal. Slowly, confidence gave way to doubt, and doubt gave way to quiet and security. He began to wonder if talent alone was ever enough. What hurt most was not the rejection itself, but the silence that followed. No explanations, no closure, only unanswered emails and missed calls. That silence planted a dangerous thought in his mind, the idea that maybe he was no longer needed, relevant, or valuable. And once that idea settles in, it becomes difficult to silence. John did not live alone, and his struggle was not as alone either. His mother, Helen, depended on him financially for everyday expenses. She never asked directly, never complained, and never made him feel guilty. But love has a way of creating responsibility without using words. Every unpaid bill reminded John that his choices affected more than just himself. Helen tried to be strong, often telling him that everything would work out. She spoke calmly, as if reassurance alone could change reality. But John noticed the fatigue in her expressions and the hesitation in her voice. He understood that her optimism was an act of protection, not certainty, and that realization weighed heavily on him. Psychologically, John felt trapped between two fears. One fear was failing financially and letting his mother down. The other fear was losing himself by abandoning what he loved. This internal conflict created constant anxiety and mental exhaustion, and no one around him seemed to notice how heavy that burden had become. When the small accounting firm finally called, something shifted inside John. The offer was modest, and the office was far from impressive, but the work itself felt meaningful and aligned with who he was. For the first time in months, he felt seen rather than evaluated. That recognition alone brought a sense of relief. He imagined himself learning, improving, and growing over time. He pictured a future built slowly, step by step, without shortcuts. It was not a dream of luxury, but a dream of fulfillment. A life where effort and passion moved in the same direction. That vision brought him quiet excitement. That night, John slept deeply for the first time in weeks. Not because his problems were solved, but because his direction felt right. There was comfort in knowing he could do something he respected. It felt like choosing honesty over fear, and for a brief moment, peace replaced uncertainty. The second phone call came unexpectedly and changed everything. A multinational company offered him a factory position with a salary 3 times higher. The benefits were immediate, the stability undeniable, and the pressure immense. Suddenly, the future looked safer, clearer, and more predictable. And safety can be extremely persuasive when fear is involved. John did not feel excited by the offer. Only his mind immediately began calculating expenses, savings, and responsibilities. He thought about his mother's needs and his own financial insecurity. The emotional clarity he felt earlier was replaced by practical urgency. Money shifted the conversation from passion to survival. He realized that he was no longer choosing between two jobs. He was choosing between two versions of himself. One version valued meaning and growth. The other valued security and external approval, and the weight of that realization made the decision unbearable. John's friend Mark spoke with confidence and certainty. He dismissed passion as a luxury that only the privileged could afford. To him, adulthood meant choosing stability over fulfillment without hesitation. His words reflected logic, but also resignation. A quiet acceptance of dreams left behind. His mother's response was softer, but no less powerful. She told him to do what he believed was best. She avoided influencing him directly, perhaps out of love, but John felt her concern in every pause and sigh. Sometimes silence communicates more than advice. Surrounded by opinions, John lost touch with his own voice. He tried to listen to everyone, hoping clarity would emerge. Instead, the noise grew louder and more confusing. He felt responsible for everyone's peace except his own, and that imbalance slowly pushed him toward the safer option. After many sleepless nights, John made his decision. He turned down the accounting position and accepted the factory job. He convinced himself this was the mature and responsible path. He believed happiness could be postponed until stability was secured. That belief brought temporary relief. The factory environment was efficient, but emotionally empty. Machines dictated rhythm, schedules dictated life, and repetition defined the days. John performed his tasks well, but without enthusiasm or curiosity. There was no room for creativity or personal growth. Only compliance and endurance. At first, he ignored the discomfort. He told himself that adjustment takes time. He believed fulfillment would come once life felt easier. But deep inside, something began to fade quietly, and he did not yet realize what he was losing. As months passed, the higher salary became normal. The excitement of financial relief disappeared quickly. Money solves problems, but it did not inspire him. Each day felt identical to the one before. Routine replaced motivation. John became more tired and irritable without understanding why. Even weekends felt empty and unfulfilling. He was resting physically, but not mentally or emotionally. Life felt mechanical, repetitive, and disconnected, like surviving instead of living. Psychologically, John was drifting away from himself. He stopped asking what he wanted and focused on what was required. This emotional disconnection created a quiet sadness, not dramatic, but persistent, the kind that slowly reshapes a person's identity. Late at night, John began questioning his life. He wondered what all this effort was leading to. He realized he had traded meaning for comfort, security for purpose, possession for identity. He observed coworkers who had been there for decades. They spoke of retirement, not dreams, of endurance, not excitement. That vision terrified him more than financial failure ever had, because it showed him a possible future. The question he could no longer ignore was simple. What kind of life was he building? One that looked successful from the outside, or one that felt empty from within? That question refused to leave him. John continued supporting his mother financially. From the outside, everything looked stable and responsible. But emotionally, he became distant and withdrawn. He spoke less, reflected more, and isolated himself. Something inside him was slowly eroding. Anxiety appeared without clear cause. A constant sense of dissatisfaction followed him. He realized comfort also demands payment, not immediately, but consistently. And the payment was his sense of self. The true cost of his decision was invisible. It was not measured in money or time. It was measured in regret and lost potential, in unanswered questions and suppressed desires. And that cost grew heavier each day. One evening, John passed the accounting firm he once declined. He stopped and looked through the window. He did not see people working. He saw a version of himself that never existed, a life that could have been. In that moment, he understood something painful. Wrong decisions do not always feel wrong at first. Some feel safe, logical, and approved by others, but they slowly hollow us out from within, until one day, the emptiness becomes undeniable. John realized there is still time to reflect, maybe not to undo the past suit, but to question the future honestly, because the greatest prison is not financial struggle. It is living without meaning. Now, let me ask you something. What choices are you making right now? Are they driven by fear or by truth? by comfort, or by purpose, by survival, or by fulfillment? How much of yourself have you postponed? How many dreams have you labeled as unrealistic? How long do you plan to wait before living fully? Because waiting feels safe, but it is risky. And time never pauses for certainty. If this story resonated with you, stay with us. The next video explores regret, courage, and change. Subscribe and turn on notifications, because the next decision you make matters, and it may define the rest of your life. What if I told you that a single breath you didn't take costs you everything that could have changed your life? It wasn't fate. It wasn't bad luck. It wasn't lack of ability. It was a choice. Small. Impulsive. Made in seconds. Today, you're going to hear the story of a man who was just minutes away from receiving a blessing, powerful enough to completely transform his financial life, but lost it all because of a moment of anger. And as you listen, a question may start echoing inside you. What if it were me? Stay with me until the end, because this story isn't just about him. It's about me. It's about you. It's about empathy, understanding, and the power of kindness in the simplest decisions of life. His name was Michael Cotter. Michael wasn't a bad man. Quite the opposite. Hard-working, intelligent, full of dreams. Pushed aside. One of those men who wake up early, go to bed late, and keep telling themselves, it's going to work out. Someday it will. But life, you know how it is. It doesn't always respect our effort. At 42 years old, Michael carried debt, silent frustrations, and that uncomfortable feeling of always running, never arriving. Still, there was something alive inside him. Hope, a stubborn, almost naive hope. But alive, until, on an apparently ordinary Tuesday, something unexpected happened. A phone call. On the other end of the line, a woman named Rebecca Lawson, firm voice. Polite. Direct. She said only a few words, but enough to shift the axis of Michael's life. You've been recommended to receive a significant amount from a private fund, but there are conditions. The amount. Enough to clear his debts, start over, breathe again, a true blessing. The conditions. Simple and cruel. He had to be at the exact place, at the exact time, and meet one specific person. No delays. No excuses. Michael hung up with his heart racing. It felt like the universe was finally answering. An opportunity was born, and with it, a silent test of emotional wisdom. The meeting was scheduled for 4 p.m. sharp. From early morning, Michael was restless. Racing thoughts, sweaty hands, a mind projecting possible futures. He imagined himself debt-free, helping his family, rebuilding his wounded self. It was self-love trying to bloom after years of scarcity. But alongside hope came psychological pressure. Michael's mind entered a constant state of alert. Anxiety. Fear of making a mistake. Fear of losing everything. And when fear takes over, emotional intelligence weakens. Still, he left home early. He wanted to do everything right. He wanted to honor that opportunity with respect. Everything seemed aligned. Until just a few miles from the meeting place, a car suddenly cut Michael off. It was close. If he hadn't braked, the crash would have been inevitable. His heart pounded. His body reacted before his mind. Adrenaline, anger, instinct. Michael felt disrespected. A deep sense of injustice took over. This can't go unanswered. In that moment, the universe placed 2 doors in front of him. Door 1. Take a deep breath. Acknowledge the danger. Move forward. Choose compassion, even while shaken. Door 2. Feed the ego. Pull over. Confront. Prove you was right. The danger of emotional decisions is that they feel right in the heat of the moment. And Michael chose the wrong one. Pulled over. Got out of the car with firm steps, raised voice, chest puffed out. The other driver got out too. Harsh words, loaded stares, minutes turned into long minutes. Time, silent and indifferent, slipped through Michael's fingers. While he argued, the clock didn't. In that moment, the lack of empathy blinded understanding. The absence of kindness blocked the power of goodness. Michael didn't realize he wasn't just arguing with another driver. He was arguing with his own destiny. When he finally got back into the car, the damage was already done. He looked at the clock, 4:07 p.m. His heart sank. Still, he sped up. A desperate hope, that childish belief that maybe, just maybe, there was still time. Michael arrived at the location at 4:18 p.m. The reception area was empty. A man in a suit, expression neutral, approached him. "Are you Michael Carter?" He nodded. "I'm sorry, the meeting ended at 4:05. Miss Rebecca doesn't usually wait." Silence. Michael tried to explain, tried to justify, tried to negotiate. Nothing. The opportunity had been withdrawn, not out of cruelty, but because of consequence. In that moment, Michael felt something deeper than anger. He felt emotion, a heavy emptiness, a profound regret. He realized, too late, that he didn't lose money. He lost a once-in-a-lifetime chance because he failed to control his emotions. This story isn't about traffic, it's about choices under pressure. Psychology teaches us that intense emotions reduce our ability to judge clearly. When we react impulsively, we hand control over to instinct, not wisdom. Michael didn't need to win an argument. He needed to protect a purpose. How many times do we do the same? How many blessings do we lose trying to prove we're right? Life rewards those who choose balance, forgiveness, inner reconciliation. True strength lies in taking a deep breath when everything inside you wants to explode. That is emotional intelligence. That is love in action. Michael went home different that day. Quieter, more aware. He learned the hardest way possible that small decisions build massive destinies. Now let me ask you, looking straight into your eyes, what if it were you? If today, in the middle of chaos, someone cut you off, provoked you, threw you off balance, would you choose anger or would you choose understanding? Because maybe, without you even knowing it, something much greater is waiting just ahead. If this story touched you, comment below. I choose to breathe. Share this video with someone who needs to hear this today. Subscribe to the channel for more stories that awaken empathy, inspiration, and wisdom. And remember, sometimes the greatest victory is simply moving forward.